Public education has been under attack for my entire life. In 1954, which was 16 years before my birth, the Supreme Court issued Brown versus the Board of Education, which forcefully ended segregation. In 1958, there are pictures of the National Guard enforcing it in Arkansas. During the 1960s and 1970s, it was enforced, and there was busing, and it was violent. The last vestige of whites only was in the South, and it was in Christian schools. And in 1974, the Supreme Court said they could no longer be barred, so that it was free for all people who could afford to go to those schools, they could be accepted. That greatly upset Jerry Falwell, who was very much in the Republican Party in the sense that he was talking, and Ronald Reagan in California, who did not like hippies, was listening. The Ronald Reagan who did not like hippies, who began to change what college cost to drive the hippies away from California. That is when college went from being practically free to starting to cost money. You can thank Ronald Reagan for that too. And the evil union between the Christian right and the Republican Party started under Ronald Reagan. And therein starts the attacks on education, starting in the 1970s. The same people who were throwing stuff at a 6-year-old child in Arkansas, Ruby, don't want that information to be shared with their children. And the history of bigotry that we have here. We have in the state of Florida this year, previous 2023, over 1,400 books banned by organizations like the Moms of Liberty. AP African American Studies was barred in the state of Florida, while European AP classes were allowed to take place. I taught AP World, which was a non-US focused approach on world history. AP African American History should be offered everywhere in the United States because African Americans are Americans. But due to bigotry within the GOP, instead of AP African American History, we've got Prager University offering alternative facts for history, that slavery benefited those people who were enslaved. Well, that's patently untrue. And then you go to a place like Texas, where Abbott is trying for the 5th time in less than a year to get his stupid proposed voucher plan. Vouchers don't help people. They hurt public school. And that's the point. You give someone an $8,000 voucher in the state of Florida, which pays dick for education. We pay about $2,500, and the federal government pays, under the Department of Education, the other $7,500. It's around $10,000 per pupil. That's dick. In New York State, where I was born, it's $24,000 per pupil. And believe you me, that makes a significant difference. In New York, the Moms of Liberty have tried, but they have not been very successful. Thank the Lord. My high school serviced 1,600 children. We had a 2,000-seat auditorium. We had an Olympic-sized pool. We had a hockey team that was fully funded by tax dollars. We had a planetarium with an astronomer who taught seniors and then was used throughout the many districts surrounding Arapahoe School District, which is one I went to. We had boys and girls soccer. We had boys and girls cross country. During the winter, we had wrestling. We had volleyball. We also had field hockey was in the spring. Lacrosse was in the spring. Girls and boys baseball. Hockey was over the summer. We also had skiing and tennis. That was just for recreational stuff for the kids. We sang at Rockefeller Center, our chorus. It's radically different what's available. Now, I read books that are banned in the state in high school. When I went to college, I was much more prepared than some of the students that I sent to college because my peers that were teaching them were not equal to the peers of my teachers up in New York. You get what you pay for. There are still 7,000 teachers, positions available in the state of Florida. You don't think that's a problem. It's your children who are suffering. I'm educated. Your children aren't getting educated. And voucher systems drain money from public education. And the reason why they want to do it is because they want to charge you for something that's already free. Free public education doesn't benefit a corporate oligarchy. Doesn't benefit anyone except the community. You can't make money off of it, which is why charter schools are generally a bad idea too. So the $10,000 you have per pupil here in Florida, you take the number of children you expect to have for the year, and for the first 10 days, we do every day attendance to see what our real count of children are. And that's what you base your budget off for the year. And that determines how many teachers you can have, how many lunch ladies, how many police officers you can have in the building, how many nurses, how many secretaries, how many guidance counselors, how many librarians, how many gym teachers. All that stuff has to come out of the $10,000 that is generated for that child. Education is expensive, and we're not spending enough on it. It is estimated in the United States last year of 2023, education nationwide was underfunded by $140 billion. How much money do we give in foreign aid? It's a lot, and much of it's required. How much money is wasted by the Department of Defense? We don't know because they keep on fucking up the budgets. I'd like some of that money for education. I'd like education to be funded the way the military is. But then again, I'm an educator. Education is a cornerstone of a functioning democracy. The people who cannot tell lies from the truth, the people that cannot read a deposition, that is the failure of education in many of the states within the Bible Belt, where the Republican hold is strong, where there is church on Sunday, and the Baptist minister is hurting the children. That's what you get with the GOP. Child brides, women who are dying while pregnant, cutting for libraries and cutting of education, banning of books, regression, and moving towards the behavior of the Third Reich. Education is the cornerstone of why we had a successful society after World War II is the GI Bill. All the vets that survived the horrors of combat came back and worked to create a society. And we had an unbelievable economy after World War II until we got embroiled in Vietnam. Remember, education is the golden ticket, and we should demand our children to be educated by the finest human beings. Vote true and vote blue.